Hello everyone, this is Stephanie Pettis in the Roland Studio, and I'm coming at you from my home. Just wanted to do a quick resin cast of these little round paperweight and jar little things that I did the other day. I picked some fresh flowers from around my house. These are some wildflowers and some roses from my rose bushes. And I just wanted to take a minute to, well, I say a minute. I had to forward this in time lapse, but it still shows the process. I tried not to let it skip too much. But these little plastic molds that I'm using are technically not molds. I actually got them from this little jewelry, nail jewelry pack that you saw from the Dollar Tree. And technically they're not molds because it's plastic, and you really need silicone to use these things because resin does get hot and it sticks to the plastic. But I was gonna try it anyway, and I did, and this is what I got. So I was able to peel that plastic off, and so instead of worrying about having to cast a mold in the design that I wanted that was right there, I'll do that later with one of those little trays. I'll actually create a mold of it, but for now I'm going to go ahead and mix my ice resin part A into 2 equal parts, and part B there that I'm pouring in now. You don't want to listen to me, I can't even speak. You want to put part A and B in equally, because if you don't, the resin will dry tacky. It'll be sticky and it'll never cure. If you know, that's what they say anyway. I have been fortunate enough to have not had that issue, but I've only been doing this a couple of rounds, so don't really have much experience to back me up, but that's just what they say. Now I do have this in time lapse, but you want to stir this in for about 1 to 2 minutes, and you want to fold it, scrape the edges, scrape the bottom, get the bubbles out. And I noticed that the first time that I did it, and I'm putting a little fire to that because that pops bubbles, and it also pops bubbles if you blow with a straw. So the first time that I ever mixed it, I mixed it real fast, and it created tons of bubbles. So I had to learn to slow my roll, be patient, which I'm not good at, and actually just fold it in, stir it in slowly. But I only made a little bit of resin because I'm going to be doing this in layers, unlike the last time. I really rush jobbed that last one, and I made a lot of mistakes. So this time I knew better, and this was part of the learning process. You've seen it and all that kind of stuff, but when you're impatient like me, you seeing it's not enough. You got to put your hands on it. So I put my hands on it, and I made a small little layer, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm making a little small layer, and I'm rolling it across to even out the bottoms, and then I'll let all that sit and dry. And you can see in this one that all of my inclusions hit the bottom, and so this is why I'm doing a small layer, so that it has a little bit of depth to it before I put any inclusions in. I also want to point out that you want to make sure that you don't have any residue in the bottom of your molds, because you don't, unless it's not something like I'm doing flowers. So if a bug got in it or a piece of dust particle, it wasn't going to kill me. But if you're doing anything else, you definitely want to make sure that your molds are clean, there's no residue. And I live in the country, so I say bugs because you open the door and 20 fly in. And so, there's that possibility for me. But anyway, I'm going to let you listen to the music, which, by the way, I created. I go on the Music Maker Jam app, and I create music for my videos. I haven't done any new ones in a while, but you'll see that that's what I do. Right here I'm showing you my roses, and I bought this jar from Michael's, I believe, and I wanted to do a resin cast inside of this jar. I was going to do it for my Love Potion Halloween apothecary jar, but I decided, man, those sure are pretty roses. I just want to showcase them themselves, so I'm going to give that a whirl too. And here you see I've got the second batch. Apparently I have let this dry. I also put in some glitter from Walmart. That's that iridescent clear crystal glitter. And then I think I also throw in some inclusions, some glass glitter from the resin, ice resin glass glitter. And by the way, this song here is titled Morning Glory. I'm showing you right here, this is a American Beauty bush berries. I found an American Beauty berry bush tree in my backyard I didn't even know I had. It's in the wood line, but they're almost out of season. It was hard to find a nice crisp purple one because when they're brand new they are so bright, so vivid. I also have these little green berries. I don't even know what it is. It's just off one of these trees out here. And then I have this yellow daisy flower and some other little wild flowers. They're just different wild flowers, and I'm just throwing my inclusions in, and you can go out in your area and find some beautiful little flowers and do the same thing. And that's all this is. So I'm just gonna let the music play and let y'all watch me throw these inclusions in. And since the first layer is dry, we're good to go. Okay, so last time I put my flowers in upside down. This time I put them correctly, but I thought, well, maybe it would be cool to be a double-sided unit. So I know some of these are going to stick out and I have to sand and all that kind of stuff. But I thought, well, why not? You know, I still want some pretty sides to this. I don't want just the backs being just a dull blank side. So I decided to throw some flowers in and face them right ways up. So depending on which side looks better, could be the front. Okay, this is where I put some more glitter and some more glass glitter, the ice resin glass glitter in, just for some extra sparkle. Okay, so here is the last layer of resin that I need to top this off with. I've let that set overnight or a couple of hours, I can't remember at this point, but I've done this over a few days. And so I am now topping it off, doming it off the best I can. I had to run and get more resin. I think that's what it was. I ran out of resin. So I had to go and get more resin. So this is the Easy Cast resin. They didn't have the ice resin at Michael's. I guess I'd gotten the ice resin at Hobby Lobby. So didn't have time to go to both stores. So I went to Michael's. They didn't have it. I got the Easy Cast. So it is two different sorts of resins, but hopefully resin is resin. It'll be okay. So I'm just switching them out and topping them off for the last layer. What I'm showing you here is how not to waste. This is why I started doing it in layers and in stages, just like you see on other videos, because it's true. You have too much resin. You don't have any molds prepared, and I should have had more molds prepared so that I didn't waste that. But that whole little cup looking thing was resin wasted out of the little mixing cup. So with some blue dye. So don't do that. That's what not to do. Okay, so here I have the very first casting that I did, and you'll see at the bottom or the top, whichever, it was meant to be the top. I put the, well, was it meant to be the bottom? I don't know. Either way, I might have double floured it there. But either way, all my inclusions fell to the bottom when I didn't do a thin layer. And here you can see all the berries and all the different elements in there that are sticking out. So I thought, how cool would it be to actually go in and put some silver lining on it. So I bought this little silver leafing as well. And here I've decided I'm going to see, you know, this is my test piece. So either I'll destroy it or I'll make it better. But either way, I had all these berries sticking out, and the only way for me to get rid of it was to sand it off. So that's what I did. I took a sanding block with like 100 grit, and then I go 200, 400, 500, 400, 500. I think I didn't have an 800. And then it jumped to the 1,000 and then 1,500. So this is just a process that I'm doing that I've seen other people do in other projects. So I'm jumping in with this piece, and before I get to all the other ones that I created, this is the tester. We'll see how the sanding works out. Not to mention the edges of this disc were very sharp from pulling it out of the mold or the blister pack. I can't really call it a mold. But anyways, here I am going with a finer grit sand paper. Oh, and if you're gonna do this, please be sure to wear a mask, because the resin dust that comes off of this is incredible. Not to mention you could smell all of the fresh berries and stuff that I was sanding down. So what I went and did is I went and got my sanding tray. I call it my sanding tray. I think I got this little tray from the Dollar Tree. It has a rubber silicone mat in the bottom of it, so it keeps it from going all over the place too, so that's nice. So I decided to water sand, and that was much better. Took down the dust, and I don't have to breathe that stuff in. So there's a tip for you. And again, I am just sanding this down in stages. I think I am up to the 1,000 grit sand. Believe me, this took a lot longer than what you're seeing. I had to put it in time lapse. This was like over a 2-hour video, and I didn't think you wanted to sit here for 2 hours. You're probably having a hard time just sitting through 35 minutes of it, but hey, this is how you do it. So I just wanted to let you know this is what I did. This is how I did it anyway. So if it's not the right way, you better know it's Steph's way. Breaking out the buffer, yes, because I know it's a little difficult to see, but when it's under the water, it goes back so clear, and it's so pretty, and it's so nice. And I didn't have any buffering, polishing stuff, liquid, whatever. So I used baby oil. I don't know if I'm supposed to or not supposed to, or what you're supposed to use, but I had what I had, and I wasn't running out to the store again to get materials. I just winged it. So I put some baby oil on it to buffer it up. Hopefully it works out nice. Well, I could tell you it did, because I'm overlaying this video too. Also notice that even though I sanded it, there's going to be divots in it just because of where the inclusions were. And you know, I started sanding it down so far that I was actually losing some of the flower because I was sanding the grain out of it. So there's going to be some divots, but that's okay. But with that baby oil on it, it sure is pretty. It's crystal clear. I don't know why my tea was in there, but okay. I did go and put some hot water, soap and water on my unit to get rid of the baby oil. So, dang, I don't even think I've glazed this yet. Yeah, it's dull. See, there it is. It's dull. You can still see the dullness. After sanding, yeah, here it is. Sculpey. This is the Sculpey glaze that you use on polymer clay. I'm sure there's other glazes that, you know, you can use. But look how it turns it back to a clear look. I don't know if you can see that real well, but the dullness is all around it. And then you put that glaze on it and it just clears it right up. So after washing it off from the baby oil with soap and water and buffering it, I went back with some glaze that I use on my polymer clay. It's called Sculpey. And I did my best to not put brushstroke marks in this unit, but it wasn't easy. So I don't know how else to do it. This is how I did it. So I tried to put it on a little thick so that maybe the stuff would, you know, kind of go into itself and mix around. And once it dries, it looks pretty darn good. Okay, so here all of my other tests, I say tests, the other ones dried, but I made a mistake and I'm so upset. If you'll notice in that top left one and the bottom blue one, man, I put my bowl over it to cover it and I didn't pay attention to the placing, and the bowl gave it a ridge inside of my piece. I got lucky on that one. It was kind of at the edge. The other two were fine, but those two ended up with ridges. So I will end up having to sand those out, which I was going to sand anyway. But look how pretty that is. Is that not beautiful? I love it. Isn't that just pretty? I love it, y'all. I think it turned out so well, so natural. And the little glitter just highlights all the beautiful inclusions, and that one turned out so good. I love the way my little flower turned out. And notice those little purple flowers, they were a light purple. They're dark purple now, but it's all still so very pretty. Very pretty. Everything really pops in these. So there you go. Look how deep purple those little flowers are. I had to get a close-up on that. It was gorgeous. Is that not beautiful? They're now encapsulated forever. Preserved. Awesome. I guess until as long as resin will last. The stuff's not supposed to yellow, so here's the one with the blue dye in it. I put so many inclusions. Oh, getting myself dizzy there. But I had put so many inclusions into this that the blue dye shows better on one side than the other. But either way, I think it's great. And yes, it is difficult to get out. I took my X-Acto blade and just popped a little air into it and peeled it off from there. You'll see. This is why you use silicone and not plastic blister packs. And if you'll notice that little blue ridge from the top of the mold, I just took some scissors and I clipped that little ridge off. Worked out just fine. You can also use your X-Acto knife, whatever you're comfortable. Oh, I said the word. My bad. Your X-Acto blade. And there's my trimmers. My scissors. I am trimming the fat. Or the resin. Okay, that's what I did. So you can trim that off before you sand. Back to the original one with the divots in it that I've already sanded and glazed. As you can see, it is clear. The divots do show they're still drying, so it's going to be a minute before those clear up too, but they will dry clear. I think this is where I go into, oh, I just wanted to show you some colorful background here. I was just trying to give you a visual that you can see through it, and putting some sort of color behind it would be really awesome. And in my case, I decided I would put some liquid leaf on the edges. I wasn't brave enough to cover a whole side, but I've never used liquid leaf either, so I'm doing a first time for all of it. So there it is. I'm putting it, I decided I wanted to just test like half of it, and that's what I do. And then later I decide, you know, I don't like the way it doesn't shine the light through all of it, but if you were going to enclose this in something, it wouldn't be bad. But I think it shadowed it, and I really think that I liked it clear better. But this is where I got the idea of, well, you know, if you popped a couple of little holes on either side, you can make wind chimes out of them. And I thought that would be cute. Oh, I'm throwing in my geodes here because I wanted to play with this liquid leaf, which is originally why I bought the liquid leaf. Was because I wanted to put a little silver ridge around the geodes that I made. And these were throwaway geodes. These are testers. I plan to make better geodes, but now that I'm going on the road, I'm not really going to have time to do that, but I will revisit it sometime in the future. I know I'm a goober. But anyways, I'm just throwing some liquid silver leaf on this geode just because I wanted to play. Don't you like to play? You get stuff, get new stuff, you want to test it all. And, you know, I tend to not really have... well, I don't know if I would be considered a multitasker or a one-track mind. I am multitasking, but I had a one-track mind to get this silver leaf around my geode, so I had to include it here. I know. It's just what I do. It's just what I do. Okay, so I have silver leafed this unit, and on one side I've decided I'm just gonna go ahead and do the whole thing, because why not? Why not? I already did it. I didn't really like it as much, but again, I think it would be pretty cool now that I've done that to maybe pop some holes in it, create a wind chime out of it, or some sort of a window decoration, one of those window hangings. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I enjoyed you being here. Thank you for watching. As always, God bless, happy crafting, and see you next time. Bye.